Okay, so your first question was, how did this decision get made?
Mm-hmm.
So state law requires that every so many years, when contracts go up, you have to do an RFP and have an open bidding process for anything that's purchased in the state. That includes test vendors. So the contract with ACT was up a year ago, and the state extended it for 1 year. That's why we took the ACT this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put out an RFP for a college entrance test, a career readiness test, and so they had an RFP for those two things. And so typically the RFP goes out, vendors, bid out their product, and the state puts together a committee to evaluate all of their bids. So they look at their RFPs. So they have a committee that comes together and they look at the RFP and they have a rubric that they go by, and they score each of the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the college entrance test, there was only two vendors. There was the SAT and the ACT. And when the committee that looked at the two RFPs, there was a number of advantages that the SAT had over the ACT. In their opinion, it scored higher on their rubric score, and so that committee recommended to the state that they move to the SAT.
Then what is if the MME is being replaced by the M-STEP, is this something students will be taking too?
M-STEP, yes. The M-STEP test is the replacement for the Michigan Merit Exam.
So because we didn't take the M-STEP, today, or we're not taking it this week, when will we be taking it?
Testing for M-STEP will begin for the high school, it will begin the second week after spring break.
And you said this will be for the high school. Does that mean the other schools will take it also?
All of the schools will be taking the M-STEP test. Because it's
every grade level takes it except seniors, correct, for M-STEP, or is that?
No, well, for this year, it's still 3 through 8 and grade 11.
Okay. But then it's going to expand.
Next year, 9th and 10th grade is supposed to be taking the M-STEP as well.
Okay.
So the testing windows open right when we get back from spring break. So we had in the district newsletter a calendar of testing dates. So for the high school, the first day of testing will be April 20th. April 20th, they'll be taking the language arts test. April 21st, they'll be taking the language arts classroom activity. And then April 23rd, they'll take the language arts performance task.
So is the M-STEP replacing MEP? Is MEP gone?
Yes. MEP is gone.
A lot of people say the SAT is harder. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions because the point scale is on hundreds and thousands. What can you...
First of all, there is about, I don't know the exact correlation between the SAT and the ACT, but it's over 90%. It's like 95% correlated. So if you get a certain score on the ACT, they can predict with 90 to 95% accuracy of what your score will be on the SAT. So they're both highly correlated college entrance tests. People are saying that the SAT is more difficult, but you have to remember that this is a redesigned SAT. It's not the same SAT that was even given this year. It'll be a brand new test next year that is more like the ACT.
Is this going to be, are they redesigning their SAT for like the entire country?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just a Michigan
It's not just a Michigan thing. They're redesigned it used to be on the SAT that if you guessed and for every answer you got wrong, you lost like a quarter point.
Right.
They've eliminated that. So
the AP test used to do that.
So the rules are more like the ACT. If you look at and this is just my opinion right now, there's no document that says this is, but for math, the ACT seems to be more computational, to where the SAT seems to be more conceptual, more about finding a formula rather than calculating a number. For the language arts, the ACT seems more focused on grammar, and the SAT seems more focused on author's intent. But that's really just
Right.
John Thero's opinion, not.
It's not anything.
If you look at one of these questions is an ACT question, one of these questions is an SAT question off their practice test. Car averages 27 miles per gallon. If the gas costs $4.04 per gallon, which of the following is the closest to how much the gas would cost for this car to travel 2,727 typical miles? So you're calculating how far the car would travel. Here, the gas mileage for Peter's car is 21 miles per gallon. When the car travels at an average speed of 50 miles per hour, the car's gas tank has 17 gallons of gas at the beginning of a trip. If Peter's car travels an average of 50 miles per hour, which of the following functions, F, models the number of gallons of gas remaining in the tank T hours after the trip begins? So here, they're asking for the function, to where here they're asking you to calculate
Now,
it.
are these public consumption type questions? I mean,
Yep.
if we
These are
posted
off.
that as like a
These are
feature
off.
type thing?
These are
we
off.
could- Okay, right off there.
Yep,
So-
off their website.
Do you not know which questions are which?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Is,
Can you guess?
Is this an ACT question?
This is
Well,
an
one
SAT,
of them
this is an
is-
SAT
Oh,
question.
okay.
And then
This
this
is-
would be the
this is an
ACT
ACT
question.
question.
Okay.
This is an ACT question.
That's an SAT.
This is an
That's,
SAT.
yeah, I
it's more-
thought this was an ACT question, actually, so,
But that's off the SAT.
okay.
But you can see, I mean, these are very similar problems. They're testing the same thing. So I don't believe that the transition from the ACT to the SAT is going to be we're not going to have to redo everything that we've done. If teachers use quality instruction and teach the Common Core standards, the kids will be fine.
Have colleges given any indication on how they're gonna change their entrance requirements now? Are they gonna accept an SAT score now that that's the standard? Or,
Colleges always have.
so if I was gonna apply to Michigan State, they would already have SAT requirements?
They've had it for
Yeah.
years.
Because they have kids come from out of state who don't take the ACT.
And a lot of kids take both. Even in Michigan, a lot of kids will take the ACT and the SAT.
So if I were to apply to Grand Valley, there should be no, and I've taken the ACT, there should be no issues with submitting my scores.
No, every college accepts both scores.
And lastly, how does Common Core relate to what the questions are on these tests?
Well, that's one of the interesting things is when that committee was evaluating the ACT and the SAT, one of their findings was that the SAT aligned better to the Common Core standards than the ACT did. A whole lot cheaper.
Right.
I mean, it was literally almost half the cost of the ACT over 3 years.